Hey folks, welcome back to West Virginia Cryptids and Strange Encounters. Today I'm in Shenango County, PA. I'm actually here with some friends doing a little bit of hiking, a little Bigfooting, and just having a good time. I'm actually on the beaches, or the beaches now because the water's low, Shenango Reservoir. And I'm here with a good friend of mine, Bill Rigby. And right now he's back there meeting up with another friend of ours. And I'm just walking the beaches looking for footprints, just to see what I can find, and watching the eagles. There's several bald eagles here, and they seem to be going after seagulls and fish. I mean, a couple of them hit the water, but yeah, they're chasing seagulls. So stay tuned. We're going to see what we can find here, and I'll be back here in a little bit. Folks, here's the lake. Here's the beaches, or whatever you want to call them. I mean, at this time of year, they're beaches. Nice sandy material, stony sandy material. Pretty decent for tracks, especially when you get down to the water's edge where there's a little bit of mud consistency. It's a little firmer. The other thing I've seen so far is some coyote tracks, some deer tracks, look like one big dog back here. I mean, it was back on the other side of the lake here. It was a pretty good sized dog. Here are some deer tracks. I did find a trackway back that way a little bit where you can clearly see where some deer were running and coyotes were chasing them. But yeah, no obvious, bipedal prints yet. Not even man. I mean, I haven't even found any shoe prints yet, other than the hiking trail or the access road when you come in. Bill was telling me that there have been some sightings here. There have been, I guess, some vocals. Yeah, I definitely wanted to get up here and check it out and see what it's all about. And get to hang out with some good friends. Getting into some down trees here. I have to navigate this, so give me a minute here. It's a seagull there. I don't know if anybody can see that. Kind of hard to see in this gray skies. The camera don't pick them up very well. This is an awesome place. I really like it here. Like I said, it's close to some friends, and it's really not that far from home. About 2.5 hours. It takes me about the same time to get here as it does to get in the areas I usually hang out in West Virginia, but it's just a different type of area. A lot flatter. The hiking is easier. That doesn't bother me a bunch back home, but I just enjoy that it's a little bit easier to get into. You see here, you can see the mud. This is where I'm looking for tracks. With the leaf litter and stuff up there, tracks are not that obvious. Ground's kind of hard, other than leaf litter, and then there's big mossy sections. But this is where you'll find some if they do travel along the lake here. Areas like this remind me a lot of the Sutton area, Burnsville area, with these mud flats like this, where water comes down out of the valleys, and during the summer, the water's backed up into here, so it leaves nice silt sediment, and nice soft sediment, easy for finding prints, especially for something big. And wait a minute, what did I find here? Hold on, folks. Let me turn you around. I might have found something. Here is Bill's foot next to one of the possible prints. What do you think, Bill?
It's a possible. It was done a while ago.
Yeah.
Probably when the ground was a little more solid.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can see where it's stepping across right from there to there. So.
And then there's there's so many things around here that people have contacted me. Like there's a guy on Rutledge Road that said that his pig gave birth.
Yeah.
The pig gave birth in the middle of this field, and it died. The babies died, so he just left it there. And he said the following day he came out and the pig was gone. The babies were gone. There were no tracks of any sort. The only thing that was damaged was his fence was like pushed down.
Huh.
And then the guy that owns this
Farm.
yeah, he's had like things, his animals were killed.
Yep. I started to tell him about that.
All right, folks. What we're gonna do is Jamie here is going to tell us the history about Shenango Lake and the Shenango area, right?
Yes.
Shenango County is.
Well, this is Mercer County.
This is Mercer County.
Yep,
Oh,
Mercer
okay.
County.
I'm sorry.
And this is Shenango Reservoir, and it's basically named after a rogue Indian, Shenango. That's what I've read.
Mm-hmm.
He was considered the beautiful one, and he got along with all the other Indians. And this lake is connected with Pymatuning, which is that Crawford County, or that's still Mercer County, or both. And it's actually Pymatuning has Ohio, so this actually connects to the Ohio border too.
Okay.
And it was built in the 60s, like late 60s, with eminent domain. They told the people you have this amount of time to get out, and then they flooded it. So you'll find a lot of structures, housing. This is part of the Erie Canal. So the Erie Canal went through here at one point, and we found petroglyphs and Indian drawings on the Erie Canal itself.
What was the community called that was flooded?
The main community was Clark, and then Sharpsville, Pennsylvania.
Sharpsville, okay.
And parts of Hermitage, right?
Yes.
And you said it was
at the time called Hickory.
You said it was a 3,000 and what? How many acres? 3,800 or something like that. You said
3,250.
Okay.
Like that.
And there's been we'll exclude the bigger organization, but because they don't include some of the stuff you've recorded here or taken.
Right.
As far as what was you telling me? Dogman reports.
There's
Bigfoot reports.
There's Bigfoot reports. There is reports of orbs of light coming out of the water and into the sky. UFO reports. There's the Trumbull County, Ohio borders here, and they had one of the biggest UFO sightings where multiple police forces were chasing this UFO. So there's all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah, they got a lot of paranormal, cryptid activity throughout this whole county.
What, as far as the lake, where do you think the most, I guess, for lack of better words, would be like maybe evidence of what you found? Because I know this is your research area.
Yeah, this is where I micro-study the whole Shenango, but this is where my wife and I had an encounter with what we believe to be Bigfoot, and then we brought somebody back that was a Fish and Game and Wildlife to show him the area, and we had a second encounter with something that we visually saw
with the Fish and Game guy.
Yep.
But you tell me about that peninsula over there. And there's quite a few, like some of us call them structures. You call them.
I'll call them structures because like there's researchers in Canada that I really appreciate their work. Like there's one named Leanne Carnegie, and she has these structures that compare to the stuff I find. Right. And I count the structures. I count the sticks that are in them. We've compared photos. The photos pretty much match. Like I look at it like it would be an artist, like Rembrandt.
Right.
You can look at a Rembrandt painting, and they're the same. They have their signature style.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like this is like.
Have you ever looked into the orientation of them? Like I found one in Tucker County that I can't say 100% a structure, but it was only a 3 stick. I mean, they were small pines, but they've been de-limbed. They were probably about an average of 15 to 18 feet tall, that were in a teepee shape.
Right.
And you can tell they were placed there. They were broken off at the bottom.
Right.
And when I stepped under them just to look to get a direction for my notes, where I noticed that the 3 sticks, if I was standing on the south end in the middle, or like towards south, the one was right at north, one was east, and one was west. And have you ever found anything like that, or?
A lot of them have orientation facing water, so
Okay.
you'll see it facing towards water. So
Okay.
then, like, the debunker part of me would say, is this a hunting blind that
Right.
somebody's using, pointing, towards the water? And I've come to the conclusion that it's not. I feel like I've never found human activity around something like a human's built it.
Right.
And I'm pretty confident in the fact that I know it's architecture. It's
Right.
not, it's created. It's not something that randomly happened in the forest.
Some things I found here, which is kind of weird to me, is you have the trees that are fallen,
Right.
but they make a big rectangle. So they're not all like straight line, winds knocking them over one way. And they're placed like they're here, and another one facing over this way, another one up over this way.
Right.
And I don't know what has caused something like that. And you can tell some of the trees were live when they came down.
Yeah.
Across there.
Well, that's like you and I were looking at those ones when we first come up onto this part. We could easily tell that those breaks were most likely natural because each one of them had a scarring where a deer had rubbed or there was a limb had broken off.
Yeah.
So we was able to kind of debunk those. But yeah, I know what you're talking about is blind, because I've been called about some of those. And there's one big one that I went to in Randolph County, and it's definitely a hunting blind. I mean, not only because it clearly looks like one, but the area that it was in, the location.
I mean, Pennsylvania, you're not supposed to use natural things for a blind, but it's not saying people don't.
Right.
Yeah, guaranteed, because I found some hunting blinds.
But I mean,
Yeah.
Jim and I had
Stuff.
a mapping that we were mapping this entire Shenango with these shelters,
Right.
for lack of a better word.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Do you think most of them are shelters, or do you think some of them may be markers of some sort?
I think they're markers. I
Markers.
don't think there's something's living in.
Okay.
Because some of the, like the TP ones, they're too small to be living in.
Even a hunter, if they were
Even
using
for
it
a
as
hunter,
a blind, you
yeah.
wouldn't want something that's going to crack and scare the whatever you're hunting.
Do you
'cause
think?
I find several
And I
shelters.
found a nest-like structure
Yeah.
before what they claim to have found out on, the Olympic project. I've been looking at one that's now completely gone, but to me it looked like a birthing area. And I've heard Shane Corson talk on Sasquatch Experience about how he thought it was a birthing thing, and I think the same thing here.
And he also talked about the material that it was made of it can be used for pain relief and as a medicinal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The alder bushes
Yes.
or whatever they were. I'm with you with some of the structures. I mean, I think a lot of them around home definitely are man-made or they're natural, but there are a few that I have seen that like kind of, and it wasn't necessarily structures. It was just oddly placed things. Like
Exactly.
there's one I found that was like a 20-foot long fork of a tree that never broke out of another tree, but it was turned upside down, shoved in a tree, and leaning against another tree.
Right. I think I've seen things like that.
Yeah, and it was
before.
easily
that
six.
around.
It was easily 6 or 8 inches around, and I looked, and it wasn't from that tree, and it wasn't from a nearby tree, but it was turned upside down. And now, like the bows and stuff, I've seen several of those, and I've usually can discredit most of them,
Yep.
But I found one that was pretty much in the same area where this thing was. This tree or portion of the tree is turned upside down, was pulled over, and was in the greenbrier. It looked like it'd been wrapped around it. But the interesting part about it is right where it starts to bow down.
Right.
I looked up and I could see mud. And then if you look close, you could see where something had nails actually scraped the bark. And it looks like, you know.
I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
like,
been stripped away.
yeah, you could see the nail marks that come across that. And it was only probably.
The only thing is, when I've seen that, it looked like it was architecturally, like, when I first saw it, I thought something had carved something out of the tree for an art project. And then I realized, I took it to my friend who's a vet, and she said she thinks that is porcupine, the way they damage a tree, not like a beaver with find the shavings.
Yeah, porcupines can they cause a lot of damage.
Yeah,
you sent me something and asked me about it one time.
Yeah.
And I was like,
got your opinion.
The woodpeckers will destroy.
Oh yeah.
You know, destroy trees like that.
That was from up in the Alleghenies.
But I mean, that's the cool thing. You learn a lot from just studying nature and what is or isn't.
But one thing I did find next, and I cannot explain it that it could have been natural or anything, because the root ball was on the bottom of the tree, and this tree was 4 to 6 inches around and probably 20 foot tall, but it was upside down with the root ball up in the air, and it didn't get torn up right there.
This is an interesting thing, but some of the shelters that Jenny and I have found, like we're mapping them, we've found near a few of them in the nook of a tree, like close to the shelter, piles of rocks in this nook of the tree.
Bigger rocks.
And then I was watching like National Geographic something, and they were talking about how apes will sometimes put rocks in trees. Right. It kind of makes you think, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they're throwing them.
That's another. I was going to ask you a point. You think? Okay, I mean, just say, for lack of better words, they used it as a ammunition cache.
Something.
You know what I mean?
You never know. It's good to think like that.
As far as throwing them, I mean, clearly all of us have seen, you know, chimps and gorillas at zoos, and
they like to throw.
Yeah, they like to throw, but
scat.
Do you think
the Tampa Zoo, George?
Yeah.
But do you think these things, if they are thrown, do you think they're? This is just a weird question. Do you think they are overhand throwing, or do you think they're kind of underhand sides throwing, or like a chimp and gorilla you see do?
That's hard to say.
Sometimes we've been out, like Sparky and I have been out at the Big Bend, and we've had something directionally, intelligently thrown right in front of us. So I don't know I'm sure that if something lived in the woods and knows how to throw, they could do it underhand or overhand.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because I thought about it before, and to throw overhand, it's usually, unless you can lob pretty high, it's usually a straight line shot. And a lot of what you hear people talk about is it comes down through the trees. So to me, I would think I'm more inclined to believe they may do like an underhand, maybe a side, like, you know, like that tossing it, like a softball, or maybe not that low, but maybe that's why you hear talking about the more arching coming through. But you know, it's always something.
The other thing too is it's sometimes it'll be rocks that we'll find, piles of rocks near these structures, and other times it'll be these pine cones. So you'll find pine cones almost like they're a rock cairn stacked up in a tree, and I feel like they could
not stripped or anything, just
not stripped. No, like usually if they're stripped, you would think something like a squirrel.
The squirrels, little red squirrels at home do that.
Intelligently stacked.
Okay, yeah, because little red squirrels will tear pine.
I know.
When you walk into the pine forest, you see it looks like they
just went nuts.
Just like they murdered the whole pine family.
They're going for the pine nut.
Yeah, they get that pine nut. Yeah.
In the one pine grove here, I did find all these pine cones piled up around the base of the trees. And someone said, oh, squirrels do that. But we're talking 40 trees with piles this high, clean around it.
There's a lot of squirrels there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm saying, I don't think.
And, you know, bear just chew it up.
A bear would just chew it up.
Yeah.
I don't think Bigfoot will take its time piling it. I don't think human did it, so it's very possible.
I mean, really,
squirrel.
everything that we see and find out here, we're not saying it's Bigfoot,
right?
But we're documenting it, we're keeping notes on it, we're cross-referencing everything we can do.
That's the reason I wanted to come up and talk to you guys, because I think that's that's quality research. That's what you should be doing. I mean, you know, mapping where stuff's at, you know, thinking out of the box, sometimes out of the box. And there's a young gentleman in West Virginia that I went and talked to here recently outside of Elkins. He's been doing his own little research, and he reminds me a lot of like how you do. I mean, he's got his small little area outside of his house, outside of his home, and this young gentleman's only like 11 or 12 years old.
Oh, good.
And he is drawing maps. He's mapping the areas where this is at, where that's at. You know, when he's found this, and it's great to see him. That's why I really want to talk to him. And you know,
Yeah,
it's
definitely
awesome to see.
Intelligent
like
at that
that for
age
sure.
for doing that.
Yeah.
Very intelligent
Yeah.
at that age.
He's a very, very smart young man. And Brody, if you're watching this, hey,
Keep doing it.
yeah. But yeah, I was very impressed when I went and talked to him.
That's cool.
He took me around. I was like, he said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Hey, this is your area. You show me what you find and where you go." And he did. He walked me around, and we did find. We actually found what looked like a print, partial print. It was in the swampy area. It's not a big lake, but it's a pond.
Well,
And
you come up some weekend, bring him, and I'll take you around Shenango and spend the weekend and show you very hot areas that
Sweet.
things have happened and we found things, and
nice.
Yeah, definitely got to make plans.
we can
to
learn
do
from
that.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely impressed because his grandmother contacted me and was telling me about it, and I was like, yeah, I'd like to talk to him, see what he you know, I gave him little pointers, you know, how to, you know, with his cast and stuff, you know, need to be a little bit thinner, you know, not so thick, and just things like that. But yeah, I was really impressed with his age and what he's doing on his own.
No, that's
He's
awesome.
To me, definitely an up-and-coming researcher and investigator in West Virginia.
That's good.
Yeah,
And he's in a
we need
great
more.
area. He's in a great area. He's in the Elkins area where there's a lot of sightings. So,
We need more kids like him.
yeah.
Definitely.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And
you.
folks, check out this man, Agents of the Unexplained, Bill Rigby. Jamie King, do you have anything?
I do. It's Penn, Ohio Bigfoot Field Research of Evidence. It's big.
There you go.
It's not big. It's
not
just
big.
me and my wife.
Hey, West Virginia case is just me.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So there, yeah, follow the guys and hang out or check them out and give them a like and give them some support. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.